So, so PPP is the professional practice and policy. So we all landscape architects work on many different tasks, but the purpose of this crosstalks is really to connect the all landscape architects within Asia Pacific, and we all have a very different talent and also skill set and also issues that we'd like to share. So far, we had two crosstalks. The first one was the green infrastructure in Asia monsoon climate. We had Shoji Kaneko from Nikken, who extensively worked on the project in Singapore and Asia, and Tomoki Takebayashi, who also hosted the World Bank Green Infrastructure Workshop in Tokyo. And we had a guest, Don Uchiyama from US city of Portland, and we all had a very wonderful crosstalks on July. And second one, Kyo, would you like to talk about the second one?
Yep, thank you. Thank you, Tak. Hello, everyone. My name is Kiyohito Tomotsu, landscape architect and a board member of Japan Landscape Architect Union. I'm a chair of landscape architect with our board team in the IFLA Asia Pacific region. So in volume 2, we talk about sea level rise with one of our project, which is called Tomodachi project, and one of our Tomodachi countries from Palau. We invited Mr. Abai from Palau, the government of Palau, and then we had a second part of PPP crosstalk coordinated by TAC. And actually, I want to share a little bit my screen. Is that okay? TAC, okay?
Of course, yeah, sure.
Thank you. Here, actually, the Tomodachi project started with Mr. Takano, the immediate past president of IFLA APR, and he just passed away just a couple months ago. And I, Mickey, and Chio worked with him closely, and Mickey is also present tonight, I think. And we landscape architect with our board team will carry on his will and legacy. If you are interested, please join us. Actually, we approached 29 countries so far, and 10 countries gave us a positive responses. So one of the countries, like Palau, was our crosstalk guest. Yep. And our theme was sea level rising, which is our common issues in the Asia Pacific region. So we will have maybe our next talk with Bangladesh after maybe, I don't know, after this talk, maybe, I think we are planning actually now. And our commentator was Ms. Shoko Takemoto from World Bank Tokyo. So we will summarize the volume 2 talk before the next talk of landscape architect without border with Bangladesh. So thank you very much, Tak. And tonight, younger generations EPA with EPA working group. So I will, pass on the mic to the Tak. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Kyo. So second one was the special guest from Palau, and it was a really interesting talk. Who is almost fighting with the sea level rise at the very political level. And also Shoko is tackling a lot of issues within Asia Pacific Islands as a World Bank officer. So you can access to the video on the IFLA APR website. So please check it out if you're interested. So the weighted, the third one is the crosstalk by EPA. So the title is Open Space in Our Mind. And today's guest is Yusuke Nakashima from Berlin, Germany, and Yuta Masakane from Tokyo, and Reza from Indonesia. So let me briefly introduce about the Reza. So the Reza is IFLA APA Asia Pacific representative, and also ISLA delegate landscape architect. So she was measuring landscape design and the lecturer at the landscape design division of landscape architecture department at the IPB University since 2008. Currently researching art in landscape architecture, linear landscape, open gallery, cultural landscape and landscape design, and landscape design for mitigation and post-natural disaster area. She also get involved in practical projects such as landscape design for commercial area, resort, hotel, office, and landscape for tourism, editorium and ecotourism, agrotourism, etc. And also urban landscape and housing. She had a good interest in landscape architecture student activities such as competition and workshop. Reza has won many national landscape design competition, and she's now a jury member of some of landscape design competitions. So we would like to welcome Reza to briefly introduce herself, and then she will give a short introduction to Yusuke and Yuta. So Reza, please speak.
Okay. Thank you for Tech Fukuoka for facilitating us today, and also thank to Jalal, especially for Kyo for to make this event take place. So I would love to say like a bit Japanese, like konnichiwa, minasan, and we are joining the #3 crosstalk series. So as Tak mentioned before, my name is Reza. I'm the EPA IFLA Pacific representative and currently serving IPB University as landscape design lecturer. So I will sharing the discussion today. And this crosstalk #3, we have two distinguished young landscape architects who will share with us, Yusuke Nakashima and also Yuta Masakane. And this series, we will share about the perspective on public space in the young generation census from Melbourne to the south of USA, Berlin, Portugal, and also Japan, especially in the term of young people use in the common and some in pandemic area, and also in the future harmony. And we're very happy to have many participants today, and we're still letting people in this talk. And we will divide it into two presentations. And in each presentation, we will welcome everybody to join us on discussion. So please leave your comments or maybe your questions in our chat box. But also you can have directly questions to the presenter. And so for the first participant, I would love to invite Yusuke to share with us. So maybe Yusuke, you can try to start the share screen. So Yusuke, he is based now in Berlin, Germany. He will share with us his experience as a landscape architect in Tokyo, Melbourne, and so also in Berlin, where he lives and doing his professional works now. He graduated from University of Tokyo with a bachelor degree in agriculture and a master degree in urban engineering. He also accomplished his master course in landscape architecture at the University of Melbourne in 2020. Yusuke enjoying using the academic knowledge for designing open space. So Yusuke, the screen is yours. You can start your share now.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Reza. and everyone to participate today. Hello, my name is Yusuke Nakashima, and today I'd like to talk about how Melbournians and Berliners use open space. And so I will shortly talk about Japanese situation as well. So my name is Yusuke, and I study ecology and especially focus on the research about environmental psychology at University of Tokyo when I was doing a Bachelor of Agriculture. And I moved to Master of Urban Engineering at University of Tokyo and study urban planning. In that time, I focused on landscape planning, large-scale landscape planning, and did research about migration from the large city to the local small city in Japan. And after that, after the graduation, I moved to Australia to study landscape architecture. So I did another master for the landscape architecture at University of Melbourne and spent 3 years and had a short working experience there as a landscape architect. And recently, this September, I moved to Berlin and start working at Mettler Landschaft Architecture as a landscape architect. So it's really have short period in Berlin, but like I want to show like how I feel in these 2 months, and also I will talk about the 3 years experience in Australia. So the first topic is about how Tokyo Jin use open space. I leave Tokyo around 2017, 18. So like it's already 3 years before. So everything is updated. So like just listen to this really casually. So I feel the power of architecture is really strong in Tokyo. As you can see, Tokyo is really densely developed, and everyone use architecture to do the activities. And like public space is really less, and also the activities really how to say. People just go inside a building to do something, like go to the restaurant to do the work. People just go to the office, and like open space in Tokyo is not really well used, I feel. And open space is really limited like this. So it is like a one cherry blossom tree beside a sidewalk. It add like brightness in your life, but like people don't go inside the place and like use it. It's just like a place that you feel. And it is another example, like it is in Harajuku. It is like a little wider alley inside Harajuku, and it has the wall has a graffiti. So people go there and take photos. So it's becoming like a Instagram spot for young generation. So I feel like it's like a gap inside an urban city is kind of open space in Tokyo. And the chilling in open space is getting less common in Japan, in Tokyo. This is Inokashira Park. I love this feeling, but like these places really limited, and like people as a culture, I think it's not really common in Tokyo. But the history is really interesting point of Tokyo's open space, I feel. This is Mitsubishi Ichigokan Museum Plaza. So this museum already have more than 140 years and history, and like people can feel the history when you go inside a place. And also like even the site itself has longer history than 140. So like it's really interesting to go inside a place and just enjoy Tokyo's history. And this is Yasukuni Shrine. So people sometimes do Bon Odori. It's like a traditional dancing event in summer time. So people can enjoy Japanese culture or history inside an open space. And that is really interesting point of Tokyo's open space. So as a conclusion, I think I felt the space in Tokyo, open space, is little limited, and also the use is also culturally limited a little. I talk a little about negative things about open space in Tokyo, but I feel there's a lot of participants from Tokyo, from Japan, and also Yuta can talk about Tokyo situation. So like I love to like hear how everything has changed, how the update about open space in Tokyo in these 3 years. And also I still love the sense of history of inside the Tokyo's open space. And that is really interesting point. I feel that is really nice one. So I'd like to move to the Melbourne situation, how Melbourne use open space. So Melbourne has little more spaces than Tokyo, and also it has a lot of open space inside the city. And I feel that is because Melbourne is having English garden style landscape in it. English garden style landscape is always about wide lawn and have a bright light. So like that brings a lot of wide space inside the city. And this is Fitzroy Garden. It's really typical English style garden. So people go there and do picnic, just go for lunch and have coffee there and enjoy wild, bright sunlight inside the park. But like recently, modern landscape are increasing in Melbourne. This is I remember this was a Treasury Garden inside. It is also in city. So it is to commemorate the bushfire in 2019 in Melbourne. So like there's a lot of plates to show the name of the firefighters who fight against the bushfire in 2019. And the edge is really strong and it's getting more modern style. And this is Docklands Park. So it has a ping pong table here, and also there's a lot of benches. People sit there and have coffee, have lunch, and also play ping pong or do soccer over there. And I feel the modern landscape are like leading the use of the open space. It's really easy to the design is really helping people to do activity inside the park, like having those furnitures. So, and this is St. Kilda Beach. There's a platform like this. It's really strong feature, and like people do just sit there, or sometimes people do skateboarding here. So those design is again and like chilling, staring at the beach and chilling there. So the design is really leading people's activity. And this is University of Melbourne, the concrete lawn. So this is the way how Melbourne use the space. So just sit there. Some people do study, some people do reading and chatting, having lunch. So those activities are really normal. But like one thing, the Melbourne, it is not allowed to drink outside, inside the public space. Like some activity are not allowed to do. And like, yeah, so I feel like, again, the modern landscape is leading people's activity, but at the same time, there's some rules that people cannot do something inside an open space. So those, I feel Melbourne is like the activities were, how to say, people use the open space a lot more than Japanese situation. But like there is some activity that you cannot do as a rule, or like people feel people don't do. It is a right not to do in open space. So that is kind of sense in Melbourne. And the strong feature of Melbourne's landscape is really wild nature like this, like eucalyptus and wild brown river. This is Yarra River. And this is close to the peninsula. It has like saltbush trees, and it's really beautiful. And this is in the north side of Melbourne. It's called Kinglake. Has a like a grassland like this, and these hills continue till the horizontal. And this is Mount Dandenong. So chilling inside the nature is a strong strongest, how to say, I feel like Melbourne's special way to enjoy landscape. So people always go inside the wild nature and just sit there or chill. So it is really nice. This is from Bondi Beach, so it's in Sydney. It's a little different from Melbourne situation, but like I will say, this is really Australian landscape, and I really love the way how people use these wild open space. So as conclusion, the city has a much more wider open space inside the city, and when we compare to Japanese situation, and we see a lot of activity in open space, like people do picnics, lunch, chatting, skateboarding, and the barbecue furniture is installed inside a park, and you can use it for free. You can press the button and do barbecue. So it's really normal to go there to do the barbecue. Yeah, in summer, like every week we go out to do the barbecue, and so that is really the way how people use the public open space. And the modern landscapes are leading those activities, I feel. And again, there's some activity that you don't do in the public space. And chilling in the nature is really Australian landscape. So that is really interesting point. And I really love to enhance those features. And I want to think how can we bring those chilling activity inside an open space. So that is the conclusion for the Melbourne's open space. And I will move to how Berliners use open space. Sorry, am I talking too fast, or is it all right? Okay.
Very comfortable, Yusuke. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, great. So I'll move to the Berlin situation. So Berlin is much denser than Melbourne. It's little smaller than Melbourne, and also everything is really compact. The house is small, and I'm like I'm little, how to say, feeling uncomfortable in Berlin actually, like because I had a really wider space in Australia. Like I can enjoy the space a little more, but like here it's much urban and denser. But like there still have a lot of open spaces inside the city. This is canal. There's several canal inside the city, and people just chill there. And there's a lot of park along the canal. And I feel nature is really strong feature of Berlin landscape. And this nature is little different nature from Australian nature. So Australian nature is about like wild nature, like eucalyptus, like existing nature. And I feel this nature in Berlin is about like let something as nature, like don't touch and like just let it nature. So they prefer to have herbs and the weeds inside the garden. But in Australia, like we prefer to have like because it was English style, it followed the English style garden. So they prefer to have the strong edge inside the park's garden, like garden edge. But here, like people just let it as nature. So like the weed comes up inside the park, and that is really interesting point of building landscapes like this. So there's a lot of like grassy landscape in Tiergarten. That is the largest park inside the city of Berlin. And we can say the same thing to the modern landscape in Berlin. This park is to commemorate the Berlin Wall history. So this was the Berlin Wall, but it is open. As you can see, the pole, you can go through in between the poles. So like it's showing how people, how to say, break the wall and like get the freedom. And this is Park and Gleis Dreieck. So this park was used to be a station. So that's the reason probably they use those rocks. Probably these rocks was used for the railways. And as you can see, there's a lot of weeds coming up from between the rocks. And I really love this feeling. So they commemorate the history, but at the same time, they just let something happen inside on it. So I feel this is really interesting point of building landscape. It's just a guess, but like because building had a lot of history about like control by Nazis and control by the building walls. So like I feel many people prefer not to be controlled by system and prefer to have more natural feeling in it. So that's the reason they don't prefer to have the garden bed, garden edge, and also prefer to have those natural natural garden in the park. And also like people use open space really naturally. So this is Mawa Park. It's just wild, long hill, but like people do everything inside the park. It's really chaotic. It's really interesting to see. People do skateboarding, basketball. There's a market in Sunday. Also cycling, skateboarding, graffiti. People do music event there. I think, well, like it's not really formal music event. I think they just go there and just bring your guitar and just play the song and like ask for money with the hat. Yeah, people can drink outside, people do smoke, sometimes like illegal things have probably happen, especially in nighttime. It's a little dangerous. So every activity can happen inside of open space in building. And this is Tempelhofer. So this used to be an airport. So around the building war period, so people, the airplane come to this airport and leave the food and just land again really shortly. So and so it helped people's like you supply food to the citizen. But like it is abandoned now and it's not used now. And they just opened the airport as a park and they didn't change the design that much. You can see this is a like a road for the plane, and other places just wild nature. Well, like a lawn or grassland. And it's really simple. Like there's no like really less furniture inside the park, but like people just go there and do cycling, skateboarding. There's a small cafe here. And also some people do parachuting here, like paragliding, sorry, yeah, paragliding. So, and also kite, and also, yes, just chill and yeah, have coffee like this. And also there's a small community garden that we call it Kleingarten. And yeah, kids play around. So in Japan, like if you have open space like this, like nothing, just a field, people probably won't use like this. Like people just don't go there. I think like people don't know how to use the open space, but like building people just invent something inside the space, like try make something inside, like climb garden, or just go there to do cycling, skateboarding, and dancing. So it's really interesting. So this is the conclusion. So the city has a lot of wide natural open space. I would say really like a special natural open space. And the use of open space are really open to people, like people do picnic, barbecue. So I found some people do tent, like camping inside a park, or like have a hammock inside, like use 2 trees to have hammock and just sleep there, read a book, lunch, chatting, drinking is allowed, dancing, cycling, skateboarding, and also graffiti. Yeah, it's really typical Berlin culture and Kleingarten. So every activities are allowed inside, and like people really do it inside the park. So yeah, Berliner always find a way to use the spaces, and that is really interesting point. And I feel this is really important point, especially in Japan. So I want to discuss how can we introduce this mind to other cities. So yeah, that was, sorry, maybe I talked a little shortly, but this is my the end of my presentation. And I'm organizing like one Facebook group for landscape architects. This Facebook group is mainly for Japanese landscape architect. It's called Landscape を学びたい人の井戸端会議. You can search on Facebook group. It's mainly for Japanese landscape architects, especially for students. But like I'm really open to discuss in English in this group about like open space and landscapes. So like if you like, yeah, please join us. And I prefer like small questionnaire for the whole seminar. So like after we finish the seminar, please read this QR code and fill the questionnaire, please. And yeah, thank you for listening.
Okay, Yusuke, thank you very much for your excellent talk and share with us. We will continue for the discussion session, but it's really interesting to know that there is some similar things that people really consider about the nature around them, and they really appreciate the nature features in their landscape or in their living being. So it's so interesting. While you say that in Tokyo, it's the open spaces is really become limited now. So people like to have more time, just like in alley or something. And maybe we also have to consider about the Instagram things in our design for the futures or for the near futures when we're designing open space, because it's also happened in Indonesia. People love to visit the new places which they can take some pictures and uploading it to their social media. That this tendency is something we have to consider as landscape architects, and it's very interesting. And maybe we also can have some research about it also, and we also can consider about how people use it in pandemic situations. So maybe Yusuke, would you put some more informations how the Melbournians and how the Berlin's peoples used open space during the pandemics?
Yeah, actually, like I moved to Berlin like after everything has opened again. In Melbourne, as I not sure about like how people use in Berlin that much, but like in Melbourne, yeah. So again, the activity was really limited. So like people can go out for exercise just for 2 hours in a day. So, and yeah, people go there to do exercise and go back to the house. So like there, I saw a lot of people do exercise, but like I saw less people do picnic and chatting inside the park. So again, I think Melbourne is really like, yeah, control people. That is really strong feature of Melbourne's open space, I feel. Yeah, it's like similar story as my presentation, I feel. Berlin, I'm not sure, but yeah, probably people will do a little more, well, like extreme activity. Probably people will do more, yeah, hard activity, I think.
So open the public open space is open during the pandemic in this both cities, or they make some limitation because in Indonesia, unfortunately, the government closed or closed all the public park during the pandemic. So they put like yellow lines to avoid people entering the park. And I think it's so bad because we really need the open air, open space to have some activities. So how about in Berlin and Melbourne?
Yeah, in Melbourne, like the park was okay, like it was open the gate was open, but like the furniture inside the park, like bench and the playground furniture was closed. Like it has a like yellow tape on it, so people cannot, because people will touch it and the virus will spread through it. So yeah, you couldn't use the furniture, but like the open space was open, and people would go there to do running and like push up, exercise, those things. So yeah, but yeah, it's still limited, like just 2 hours in a day.
Okay, but it's not close, right? So it's better, I think, than in many cities and in my country. I mean, in Indonesia. So I would love to invite all audience to give what's in your minds about the open space, and you can see in the screen that Yusuke shared the questionnaire. So please join the survey and feel free to share your opinion by filling this Google form and question. And next, I would love to welcoming you for questions and maybe any comments. So please let me see from the chat room. So I have Kyo for the questions. Maybe
Yes.
Kyo, you can directly ask Yusuke for the questions.
Is it okay to question now? Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. And Yusuke, thank you very much for a great presentation. And yeah, we got three kinds of perspective for each countries. And actually, you said that space, you can feel the history is very attractive for you, even if you are young. So actually, I'm wondering, like Odaiba in Tokyo and Docklands in Melbourne, not attractive for you? You think? It's quite the landfill area, so it's quite new area. So,
So
Yeah,
but you don't think, or you have any? Sorry,
it's just my opinion. Yeah,
sorry, I freeze.
so I
Sorry.
feel,
Yep.
and I heard you. Um, I feel like this modern landscape in this is Docklands Park. So like those modern landscape architecture is really like strong, visually attractive. But like I feel mm, I prefer like a little more historical place. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's a little more, how to say, I can feel the layer of the land, like a history inside the park. So, and well, actually, I feel um, the park in building was, especially this one, was little more interesting. Like I can feel, okay, this was the railway station. This is still like, I feel this is modern landscape feature, landscape design. But
mhm.
I still can feel the history of the site, like this was the railway station, and like why they have the weed is because maybe building wall or those things. So like those guests will attract me more.
Yeah.
And yeah, Odaiba and also Docklands is still interesting, but maybe like it's better to have those like I'm sorry, I'm not sure about Odaiba Park, but maybe yeah, it's really good to have like um something that show the history of the site. Like Odaiba also have a lot of long history, like
All right.
from
True.
Edo. Yeah, so I think yeah, that would be really good. Like not just following the modern landscape, like contemporary design. Maybe just bring something in it will be really good. I think.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you,
Yeah.
Kyo,
It's good to
for the
know. Thank you.
questions. Yeah, it's so fascinating landscape that we saw that the landscape designer maybe just put some rocks and let it become a natural, more nature with that feature, because maybe in this term of beautification in some countries, it's not acceptable as the maintenance will be well done or something should be neat. But in Berlin, I see a different point of view of nature in our landscape. So it's so nice to know that. And we also have Tak in the chat room. So Tak, you also can give the question directly to Yusuke.
Sure. Yusuke, thank you for your presentation. I think all photos are so beautiful. I think somewhat each photos kind of like reminds me of a lot of things, and the composition was really nice. And I think, I don't know, I think the landscape photography was really nice. Then my question was about the Tempelhof, the former airport landscape. And I remember that when I used to work in Germany, this was the one of the biggest the park design competition. And I think a lot of landscape architecture office did many new design and overlays. And I think this, I don't remember who was the winner of this competition, but I think they took the very minimum approach to this existing landscape. Maybe also this was the low budget project. But I'm always amazed how Germans are very good at using or like diving into nature, and they just do like the way they wanted to do. So just like walking or just hiking, and like biking with friends and bringing a grill and do the barbecue and all that stuff. So I think that kind of mindset is very different from like a Japanese. But I'm curious about this physical design of a Tempelhof. Do you know how much design is implemented? So I'm curious, like what's added and what's sort of maybe subtracted. And do you know if anything about a design, physical design itself? Could you let us know?
So I didn't check the master plan of the park, so like not sure what exactly, but like I said, like probably this is a gas station, and like it is demolished, and it's just have the frame of the gas station, and like I said, like there is small like building that is information center, and like rent like small like bikes and the parachuting is stuff. So like people, just like a small building inside the park, and the other side has a viewpoint. So like people climb up a small building and just have a look. I feel like those small architecture were the only things added in the site, and like there's some places that like there's small how to say cave, and it says don't go inside this field, it is natural field, we want to keep it nature, we want to bring birds, specific birds inside this place, so don't go inside this place. So like I feel like it's more about like environmental, like ecological approach happen in this place.
I see. So, but I think if we do like the Rocky, the former railway station also was nice. But I think if you do that same thing in Asia monsoon climate, I think everything will grow so quickly.
Yeah.
And I think it's different condition and how the plants, will grow in time. So that's physical conditions very different. So it's very difficult to compare. But I just thought that, you just landed in Germany, so you haven't spent so much time in Germany yet. But I think that'd be very interesting to really like dig deeper to see how people, enjoy open space and uses, and how they, I don't know, like what sort of like the culture behind. So that's something I couldn't also find out while I was working in Germany. But I think it's just really interesting behavior and mindset, and it's different from the Australian the habit to nature, and also the Japanese. So I think maybe an article about it. Yeah, anyway, so that was not the questions, that was the comments. So thank you.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
also I found like naked people in parks. It was interesting. So people want to enjoy the sunlight in the park. So like they just take off every clothes, just lie on the grass with
Mhm.
body. And like it is allowed. Police don't say anything about
Right.
it. In Melbourne, it will be arrested. In Japan, you will be arrested.
Right.
Also,
I
of
think
course.
in Germany, there's a section on a waterfront that it's kind of like a nudist beach that everyone can go there, and it's like a section for that kind of people. And here you can put clothes on. So that's something also a new experiences that
There's kind of zoning.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so they put zoning for the people with some restriction. It's so interesting, I think, because in Indonesia you have a norm, and you also have the culture that maybe Yusuke already told that you will be arrested. It's so nice, yeah, to know. And also maybe we see some people from Indonesia also, maybe for the next interesting discussion. We are very different in the climate, so maybe the use of open space, such as in um, session, or maybe like you have 4 seasons, right? But we only have actually 1 season, so it's totally different use of open space. We use open space every time we want, and it's so different with the 4 season countries as well. So maybe in the next discussion we can have more information about it. So yeah, it's so interesting topic to go on. And okay, so is there any more questions from the audience to Yusuke? Maybe some people from Indonesia has some interest with the topic today. You can turn on your microphone and give him some questions or maybe some comments. No?
Actually,
Yeah.
I went to Indonesia, Jakarta and Bandung in 2019, and it was also a really interesting experience. Like I went to the kampong, and like everything was happening. Like even they are not architect or landscape architect, they just make everything by themselves. Like having a football court inside the kampong, or like make a like handmade soccer goal, and it was really interesting. So I felt maybe like they, how to say, well, like people have a power to use the space and like make something inside the space. So that was really different culture from Japanese culture. Like Japan always wait government to make something, and like if they're not happen, if nothing happened, they just wait for another time. So, but like in Indonesia, especially in Kampung, like everyone just use the space as they want, and make something by themselves. So that was totally different attitude.
Yeah, but you will have a more interesting situation in our Independence Day celebration. People will make anything, I mean, in open spaces, such as they will make like gate, they will make like, common space for people to have like some competition or something. And it's so interesting, actually. Yeah, only in August.
All
So
right.
everything turned into white and red. So just temporary the differences of open space. Yeah. Okay, I think we are coming to the next session because of the time being. So I will move to the next presenter. So I would love to say thank you for Yusuke for all the talk and also the discussion. Okay, we'll move to Yuta Masakane. He will talk about Harmonized, the open space I have seen. Yuta is the landscape architect based in Tokyo, Japan. He acquired Master of Landscape Architecture from Louisiana State University and worked in Houston, Texas, in the United States. Yuta's interests are well-being of communities and sustainable or resilient landscape design against climate change issues. So I will let the screens to Yuta. Yuta, the screen is yours.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Reza. And thank you for this opportunity, Tak-san, Mikia-san. And thank you for joining our audience tonight. And I will get started my presentation. So, okay. I will talk about the harmonized open spaces, which is my favorite open spaces I've seen in the United States and in the Portugal and in Japan. So this is the short bio. Can you see my screen? I'm not sure. It's bio page. Okay. Okay. So this is brief bio me. And yeah, as Reza mentioned, I got a master's degree from Louisiana State University. I worked in Houston 1 year. And since last year, I got started working in Tokyo. This is table.
Sorry to interrupt. I think your slide is still on the front page. So
I see. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I stopped the full screen. Okay. So yeah, this is showed my bio. Okay. Thank you. Okay, this is the table of contents. So first of all, I will define what is a harmonized open space. And we'll introduce the example from New Orleans, Louisiana, and another example from Tavira, Portugal. And the last one is from Yokohama, Japan. So first, I defined the harmonized as coexisting with nature and human in this context. So in a harmonized open space, you can see people enjoying nature and relaxing under tree canopy and utilizing the nature benefits. So in these spaces, nature improves people's well-being and people understand the ecosystem, including animals, plants, soils, and water in harmonized open spaces. So this is what this is the harmonized open space is what I think. Okay, so the next one is the harmonized scenes in daily lives in New Orleans, Louisiana. The location of New Orleans is the very, very south of the US, next to the Mississippi River, near to the Gulf of Mexico. And typical landscape you can see in Louisiana are like marsh and wetland landscape. And you can see very interesting music and parade culture in the downtown area. And also you can see the unique architecture around the city because it's very low run and breakage flooded. So people elevate the first floor of architecture, first floor of the house, so that people can avoid the water. So scene number one, I like. So after cross along the bayou. Okay, so bayou is a word in the southern US. It's kind of a dialect. It means marshy outlets of a lake or river. So this picture is showing the Bayou St. John. So historically, Bayou St. John worked as a canal to convey passage from the huge lake Pontchartrain to the mid-city of New Orleans. So now the bayou is a place to foster the local culture and human activities. The local people are spending their time along the shore. And this is our classmates and professor. So my professor invited us his house, and he uses the bayou shore as his front yard. So this is how the people in New Orleans uses the open spaces near the water. Other scenes around the Bayou St. John. So this bayou is very shallow and kind of safe for the children. So many people uses this bayou as kind of to chill out during hot summer. New Orleans is very hot and humid during summer, so people bring their boats or kayak to here to enjoy their time. And also you can see the historical architecture around the bayou. So like there are some historical houses built in 18th century. The architecture has characteristic of colorful walls and balconies, which is influenced by French and Spanish culture. Because the city of New Orleans was dominated by French and Spain during the 17th century. So you can see the kind of nice balcony and vivid green color wall in the house. And there are so many other similar houses along the bayou. Okay, another example I'd introduce is the small park, but very culturally rich park. This park is called Archie. It's kind of hard to pronounce, but Archie Fauchier Park in New Orleans, Louisiana. It's very small, just 0.39 acre triangle parcel, opened in 1926. There are 12 big oak trees and palm trees and shrubs, and maintained by the local volunteers, kind of the park association. And you can see many activities in this park. So for example, it's very chaotic and cannot see consistency in design. Like there is a water fountain someone put here, and red vivid art sculpture. And there is a light ornament across the trees, and someone left the bike. It's very chaotic, but it's definitely energetic vibes of people who enjoy the park. And also you can see the very many handmade crafts and arts in the park. So the sign is obviously handmade, and this sign is also. And I found like the broken part of pavement, but repaired by, I don't know, some artists or some local people by using tires. So I felt that this park must be loved by the local citizen. The third one is another park in New Orleans called Sankofa Wetland Park and Natural Trails. So this is in the lower Ninth Ward in New Orleans, and this area was damaged by Hurricane Katrina 2005. And people who live in here know they live a very wet area, and they selected to use the wetland or like marsh landscape to mitigate flood risk. And you can find the sign to explain how much the water can be stored during the stormwater event. And you can, I found a baby alligator in this pond. So this is the gator. So this small park, but small park provides the rich habitat for animals, but also mitigate the climate risk for their local citizens. Another good aspect of this park is built by many volunteers and kind of job training program. So the process to build this park is also beneficial for many people. And also this is a place for the children to learn the ecosystem, local ecosystem. Okay, another example I would like to introduce from Portugal, Tavira. So this is a man working on the salt pan, the salt industry. So I will show this city. The location of Tavira is also the south of Portugal. It's about 20 kilometers away from the border of Spain. And the typical landscape of Tavira is very diverse, from the beach, salt marsh, and the salt ponds, and downtown Tavira. And there is a castle, and also mountain area you can find a waterfall. Today I will focus on this salt pan area. Okay, so the salt pans where nature created culture. So one of the most distinguished landscapes in Tavira is large expansion of salt pans. So I think there is a harmony of the coexisting of nature and human. So please let me introduce briefly how the salt pan works, how the nature helps to create salt. So, the tidal effect creates the salt pan, but the tidal effect is from the moon, the gravitational pull of the moon. And the power creates the tidal cycle, like low tide and high tide. That makes the salt marsh landscape, but also people utilize that cycle to bring the salt water into the salt pan. And the salt water is stored in the first stage, and the second stage, this water is gonna be evaporated and concentrated. Then salt will be crystallized. Then you can get the salt. This affects also the ecosystem and biodiversity in the salt pan area. So each pond has different density of salt. So the first, you can see different animals and microbes in each salt pan. That's why these animals and microbes attract birds in Tavira. And this is the first time to see the wild flamingo for me. So this is kind of brief explanation of the how nature works to produce the salt and make the biodiversity. So the tidal effect creates this salty marsh landscape. And so the marsh landscape attracts birds. I found the European spoonbill on the marsh area. And this is the salt pan stage 1. I call it storage salt pan. So it's kind of relatively deeper than the other salt pan area because it's just storage. And the next salt pan is a little shallower than the first one to evaporate the salt water. Then third one is for crystallization to get the salt. So this is the process how salt pans work. And there is a huge old facilities around the salt pan area. And this is from ground level. You can see the crystallized salts. Another example, interesting point of this area is people use the tidal effect to transportation, I guess. You can see a boat on the ground. So this time this picture was taken was the lower tidal time. So the boat is on the ground, but when the tide gets higher, you can use the boat because it's on the water. Then this landscape makes this scene. I love to watch the birds, so and I was excited to see the flamingos. Okay, the final one is my hometown, Yokohama, Japan. And I'd like to introduce the multifunctional park in Yokohama. Location of Yokohama is very close to Tokyo. It's just about 30 minutes from Tokyo metropolitan area. And Yokohama has a lot of population. And these are just 3 examples of the Yokohama's landscape. It's metropolitan area and kind of Satoyama-like park. And there are so many residential houses in Yokohama. Then I would like to focus on one park called Shin Yokohama Park. I would say multifunctional park. So Shin Yokohama Park is located around Tsurumi River, one of the large streams in city of Yokohama. The park has sports field, docklands and middle garden, playground for kids, and detention basin. So in this picture, there is a river on the right side and grassy area and running course and middle garden and some buffer. Then there are many sports field on left side of this picture. So this park has detention pond, and on the other side of this dike, there is a Tsurumi River. And when the Tsurumi River overflows, the water flows into the park to and restore the flooded water. During the storm water events, the park works to mitigate the flood risk. And this is the picture when the stormwater event happened. So this is Tsurumi River, and this is whole park where it's wet. And here is a water gate. And during this heavy stormwater event, the water gate open. Then water flows into the park to mitigate the flood risk. And thanks to this function, the residential area along the river can avoid flooding. And the park also respects the local biodiversity. There is a network of waterways in the park. And there is a sign to protect local biodiversity and maintain the rare species. And you can see many birds in this park as well. And also park created a viewpoint to the urban area. So Shin Yokohama is has one of the biggest station in the downtown. And you can see the downtown from this park. It's kind of, I like this contrast of the huge city buildings, and this is these natural settings. And also park has a space for kitchen cars or food trucks. So that also attracts people. I think the eating and food in the park is another important aspect for this park. So another important reason why I choose to introduce this Shin Yokohama Park is because personally this is very memorable park. So there are some baseball fields in the park, and when the park was renovated in, I forget exactly, but 2004, 2005-ish, the kids in baseball league in this area helped to pick up stones and to bring the sandbags to renovate this park, because these kids will use the sports field after the construction finish. And I was one of the baseball guy when I was 10 years or like 11 years. So this is actually, I don't know, literally my first park project for me. Yeah, the last thing, these projects are kind of my what I would like to create more in the world for the sustainable environment and our well-being. So as a landscape architect, the next steps are to create more harmonized open spaces, such as what I introduced tonight. So let's make the world better together. Thank you for your kind attention.
Okay. Thank you very much, Yuta, for your excellent share with us. It's really interesting to know it's it's 3 different places that you introduced to us. And I will check the chat room. Maybe we have some question from the audience. 皆さん、日本語でもご質問お願いしてもいいんでしょうか? Maybe our audience from Japan also want to have some questions for Yuta. It's also okay in Japan because I have tag for translated to another audience. Okay. I also have some questions from Yusuke to Yuta. So it's so nice. Maybe Yusuke, do you want to give the question directly to Yuta?
Yeah. It was so interesting, and like I felt like you really love to think about like how the open space is like used. I mean, like it's more about like culturally used or like environmentally used, and that was really interesting. And like, can I ask like, how do you feel about the difference of like people's mind about the public space, open space in the different countries? Like, is it different like in Portugal and in Japan and also US? Like,
yeah, thank you. Well, actually, the example from Xavier, Portugal, is kind of different situation. So it's kind of the tourist city. So they're like, I actually didn't see many local people who use the public open spaces in the city. So I ignore that. So I will compare it to the Louisiana and Japan. And I think, yeah, people in Louisiana, especially the Alcy Fauché Park, I introduced the small triangular park. It's very culture rich, like what you saw in Melbourne, I guess, people use very freely, put their own like people, local people played like chess or board game in the park and bring their own and spend their like time very freely and relaxing, chatting, and staying long time. So I bet there are many parks kind of that in Japan too, but I don't see a lot in, especially in the large cities in Tokyo. So yeah, that's kind of difference, I guess.
Yeah, I do understand. Like even in China, like I went to China before, and like even like it's really close country. In China, people just go to a garden and like, well, have tree, Chinese tree, and like it took really long time. Like how to say, pour the hot water again and again, and enjoy the tea for like 1 or 2 hours in the park, and also playing mahjong. It was really like chilled feeling. But like I didn't see so much in Japan, and yeah, maybe, and like in US probably people do barbecue or like picnic, like the one you show in the photo, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that is like the big difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, it's really interesting. I found some similar words that I found in your presentation about Bayu. Bayu in some Indonesian language means something related with water. So from three cities, three places that you showed to us is so near or and related to water surfaces. So it's so nice to know that, for example, in Louisiana, people respect to the marshy landscape with that water surfaces, and from I think it's from three scenes that you show us also. For example, in LC Fortier parks, they also have water surfaces on it. So from all of them, we found the ages divided water and the land. So can you tell to us what is the main features of the landscape that actually people need to use the open space with that that kind of setting, the mid of yeah.
Yeah, when I think, well, when I thought about the Bayou St. John, that which is first example I introduced, why there are so many people on the water and people can use this water a lot, and why I didn't see such a situation in Japan. And one of the answer I thought is what, I don't know its answer, but the Bayou St. John is, because it's bayou, so it's very slowly flow. So it's kind of relatively safe to spend time on the water. So there are no fences around the water. So it's easy to access to the water.
Yes.
So, but in Japan, most of the rivers very froze faster than the situation in Louisiana. So because it's the mountain and the ocean is very close each other in Japan, so relatively it's dangerous to use the river water for the recreation. So that's why the government built a fence along the river, I guess.
The local authority gives some border for local communities to use it, right?
Mm.
Yeah, because when I see alligator, it's quite dangerous. I don't think that I can go inside to the water unless I want to be some feed for the alligator.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So we also have some question from the audience. We have Amarisni. Amarisni, do you want to have the direct questions for Yuta?
Actually, I'm sorry, I cannot turn on my camera.
Yeah, it's okay. So go ahead for the questions.
Thank you so much for the chance, Miss Reza. I just want to ask us in the chat that maybe you have your suggestion to communicate the value of green open space for the society, because yeah, some stakeholders maybe in some areas or some countries include in Indonesia also sometimes ignore to build a better open space, even multifunctional open space. We still don't think about that. So maybe you have your idea and suggestion for how to encourage people to make a green open space more valuable. Thank you.
Okay, just please give your opinion about it, because some stakeholder maybe still don't have any visions about how to build a better environment or open spaces.
Yeah, well, I think it's the question for all of us. But yeah, yeah. Well, in my opinion, it's very difficult to make the value of the open space. I mean, to people, for people to understand the value of the open spaces who didn't know, but it's kind of hard. But yeah, starting now is the important to, well, I guess, like, because we are facing the climate risk now, and it's obviously we are facing the many disasters in Japan as well. So we can kind of make the open spaces value much more important rather than the past several years. So to tell its value for these people now.
Yeah. So just act, right?
Yeah.
Not to thinking a lot, maybe. Okay. So we have another question from Manabu Tadasang. I just try to translate it in English so another audience could understand. So it's like at the beginning of the photos of many small boats, people enjoying themselves with that boats. Are these brought by individuals or rented from some places? So yeah,
I don't,
it's just yeah.
Yeah.
Reza, thank you for translating.
Yeah.
Thank you, Reza.
Yes,
You're
yeah, you can
excellent.
read from the chat box. The Manabu Tadasang give questions in Nihongo, so you can also see. But I try to translate to audience.
Thank you. Yep. The answer for this question is, I think it's not rented from the, I don't know, public. It's they own their boards and kayak, because there's no like management facilities along the river. So this is just public river. It's not park. So I guess people bring their own boards and kayak. Can I say in Japanese as well?
Of course.
So 学ぶさん多分、これは皆さん自分で持ってきています。
はい、どうもありがとうございます。
はい。
Okay, I think it's clear answering by Yuta. So it's a very fancy small boat and kayaking, comparing with the maybe most of Indonesian river boat and also for the lake boat, because it's like a wooden small boat that people made by one solid trees that one solid tree. Recently that kind of traditional boat is decreasing because the trees is also become decreased and the government also give the restriction. So it's a two totally different scene that we see comparing with some Indonesian boat and the atmosphere from the water surfaces. Okay, we move to Kyo-san comment. Kyo, would you give the comment directly?
Actually, is that okay? This is just a comment, but I have a question actually.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, thank you. My question is for Reza. So is it okay to play fish and robots in the river in Indonesia? Is that okay? Actually, in Japan, you just said there are some difficulties. So what about Indonesia?
Do you mean about using the boat or something? Sorry?
Yeah, is it free to dive into the river or?
Well, actually,
Yeah.
people not diving to the river. They just like doing swimming because in most river that in the lowland, the color is like you know, cafe latte or something is more brown, but for the so people cannot dive into it.
Right.
But if people go to the mountain area, the river is so clear. The water is very nice, so people doing fishing, swimming, and also doing some rafting. It's so interesting because many river in Indonesia have a good stream for rafting, especially it's well published in Bali. People love to doing rafting in many river in that islands also. Yeah.
So people can enjoy the river all the time, or in any places.
All the time in many places. There's no restrictions. Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah, people has special respect to water, especially in the city where they have a big river, because we have a lot of big river in Indonesia, and people also live along the rivers as well. So yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yes.
Yeah. What do you think, Yuta? In Indonesia, it's free to use a river, enjoy riverside, I think.
Yeah, well, I'd love to go now.
You have to dive now.
Yeah, to see how the situation. Well,
yeah, except cafe latte river.
Yeah.
Yeah, the color is all brown, but not all the river, just the river in the city were too close by to the oceans. Yeah, but in the mountain, the river is so clear, and you also can find fish and fishing, and you also can doing some rafting activities. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you, Reza.
Nice.
Yeah. No worries. So yeah, Kyo said that the comments for Utah, it's so interesting. You find open space where people and ecosystem meet attractive. Little Utah contribute to making a beautiful park in Yokohama. That's what I've told to Utah. So you are park builder since you were 10. So that place has a deep meaning personally to you, right? You didn't imagine at that moment that you will be a landscape architect who literally built a park, but you did indeed, right? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, and also appreciation from Kyo. It's a really excellent presentation, Yuta. Thanks. So we move to the next questions. From Dimas Seto. Dimas, do you want to have the questions to Yuta directly? Okay, I will read the questions for Yuta. I have several questions. Is there any specific differences between those design or those landscape, considering the location is in a different subtropical region, and it is possible to implement it in tropical region? So yeah, you might want to respond to questions.
It's very interesting, and I don't have the answer now. That I'd love to learn about that. The difference between possibility between the subtropical region and the tropical region. And I guess I'm interested in the mangroves. And I think the mangroves works very well, both ecologically, but also to mitigate the flood risk and sea level risk, and also provide the habitats for animals as well. So I think there are many possibilities in tropical regions to implement such kind of design, I guess. I don't know if it's answer. This is not answer, but my guess.
Thank you to try to answer and to respond the question. Yeah, I think that's true, because in some places, such as in tropical area, we also faces many natural disaster, especially at the edges between the the water surface and the land, such as recently we faced like very bad flood, and also the tsunami in some parts of our country, and people forget about the mangroves function and meanings to their lives, so they don't think that mangrove is important. So I have some research about it, and I have presented it to IFLA 2020 last time in Malaysia, and it's really interesting discussion, because many people, not just in Indonesia, also in Malaysia and also in Philippines, they forget that it's really important to have that ecological preservations to keep the land, avoid the dangers of natural disaster. Yeah. Okay, we have some other questions. We have a question from Wataru Morioka-san. Do you want to have the question directly to Yuta?
All right, sure. Thank you. So, Yuta-san, in short, so why are you kind of attracted by water?
Yeah. It's also same question actually from me, because from that three places you present about water surface in landscape. So yeah, please answer the question from Wataru Morioka-san.
Thank you, Morioka-san. Thank you, Wataru-san. It seems because it's very early morning in the US, right? Thank you very much. And yeah, he's in the US now, but anyways, the reason why, just because I guess I like the beauty of the water, but also the water has kind of the dangerous aspect like tsunami and flooding and sea level rise, something like that. And one of the reasons why I wanted to be a landscape architect is that I saw the tsunami 2011 in Japan, and I wanted to create more like how people are coexisting with the nature, like the disaster in this country. So I guess I didn't intend to pick the phrases with water this time, but somewhat I choose the phrases with water this time. So that's kind of interesting point for me as well. But yeah, yes, that's because it is my interest. So
Yeah, that's really nice. Yeah, to see differences. Maybe water surface attract people more than in the land. So we can have maybe a further discussion also about that. Yeah, thank you, Yuta, for answering, and thank you, Wataru Morioka-san, for the questions.
Yes, you are welcome. And yeah, just curious. So, I have an experience to work with history professor in University of Illinois, and his kind of major is environmental history in Japan. And yeah, I provided the maps of one of his books, and the title is, it's a kind of turbulent streams, which means like how people interacted with, it's a kind of Japanese kind of rivers. Also, it's a kind of, yeah, although it has its a kind of negative impacts, as you said, like a kind of tsunami or overflow like that, but it's quite interesting for me as well. So if you are interested in that kind of historical stories, please check it. Anyway,
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Very valuable information for us. Thank you, Wataru-san, for the information. Yeah. Okay. We also have Tak for some more questions. So Tak, would you deliver it directly to Yuta?
Sure. I actually have two questions. It's not the difficult question, but I always kind of like wonder how to make people to love open spaces. So the park, I think I might misspell the name of park, but what is it about Frontier Park, the little triangle park? I think it was what you observed, like little crack, and people like repair with the mosaic, like a tile to added something, or handmade sign and crafted. And I think it was so beautiful and culturally, like rich. And I could see that it was like there's love in open space. And often in Japan, it's so we try to like engage people to love parks, but it's also there are no like one way to articulate the methods. So I'm just wondering, based on your observation, do you know why this park is loved by people so much?
Yeah, well, this area is one of the historical mid-city area in New Orleans, and from the observation, the park is surrounded by 3 different streets, and the street is relatively lower than the larger streets for traffic. So it's very close to the houses around the park. So they might use the park as their front yard or backyard by their own. And also, this is not from my observation, but from the web article. This park was used to be a school yard, like elementary school yard. So before it became a park, I guess there's children use this park before 1926-ish. So I guess this area was used to be used by the people before the city owned this park. So that's why, I guess.
Oh, I see. Thank you. And so that's something that like we can talk, for like 2 hours about the engagement and love, and that was interesting. And the second one is about the water. So the Louisiana, the picture you show us today was beautiful, and people were so close to water. But at the same time, when the hurricane Katrina hit New Orleans, and often they have to struggle with the fear of water. But it seems like they are not building any walls, and they are just trying to kind of like cherish the everyday's water rather than the difficult conditions. So I think in what if condition, what if something happens, what if. So what I saw today was maybe very special area, and maybe other area maybe has different sort of a way to deal with water. But based on your observation, if you can tell us about the transformation or change of the people and the behavior towards the water. Or is it like what you showed us today in the picture, or is it like varies, depends on like area?
Yeah, there are various small projects you can see in the different part of the cities. But yeah, well, I participated in one of the kind of volunteer work to build a stormwater planter next to the bar, or like small house.
Okay.
Yeah, to make the stormwater slower. Yeah, there are so many small like green infrastructure project in the city, in like local citizen level, and also another impressive like mindset of New Orleans people is to help each other, because it's not a hard infrastructure, but when the hurricane comes, I saw an Instagram post of the nonprofit organization called Imagine Waterwork New Orleans. The first page of the preparation for hurricane is saying, say hello to your neighbors. So communication with the neighborhood is the most important thing to avoid the disaster. So I was impressed that post and local people very respect when each other when the flood happened. So that's what we can learn from them, I guess.
Okay. Thank you. I think that was a good story, and maybe I've never been to New Orleans, so by just looking at the picture I can already say a lot of things. But I think it was just the moment you're capturing told us all the narratives or stories kind of like embedded. So that was very beautiful. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tak, for the question and also the discussions. Yeah, it's really interesting. And I have also Ken Kawade-san for the questions. You want to directly give the question to Yuta?
Thank you. Well, thank you for both of you, Yusuke-san, Yuta-san. Very interesting story. Well, I'm so glad to see the many beautiful pictures and to get to know the good examples of landscape in the world. And I have a question for Yuta-san. Well, as you know, in this country, the government tried to change the rules about riverside open spaces. They try to enhance more open use for civic. But they all always struggling between the easy access to the kind of open space like the river and the control the risk or especially the children, the controlling safety. So I'm wondering that how the government, the other countries think about that or try to control. Will you teach me something?
Yeah, it's so interesting question because I also mentioned about the dangers of the wild animals such as alligator. Especially when the flood come, we cannot avoid that the alligator might be out from the river because they don't know all is water. So yeah, how can you explain how well for New Orleans people or government to control the safety, especially for kids? It's a really interesting question from Ken Kawade-san. Maybe you can answer.
Yeah, thank you very much, Kawade-san, to ask the question. And unfortunately, I'm not completely sure to answer the question. But like I mentioned, there were no fence along the bayou I showed today, but there are other rivers which has like safety fence or safety border around the river in the city as well, especially like man-made concrete canal or like a relatively steeper rivers. So they control somewhat the relatively dangerous rivers, but I don't know there is some like specific regulation or not. So yeah, that's the only thing I said. I can say, sorry.
That's right. Thank you.
Yeah, but I also have some interest with that kind of wildlife in the city. For example, maybe also for Yusuke, you can also explain to us, as I know that some Australian areas has that wild habitats, and which is that's not also okay for the citizens to live nearby, such as they also have an alligator in some river. So what do you say about that?
You mean like yeah, people well, like I think even there is yeah, like some really dangerous place, like they have the fences so people cannot approach the water that much, but like actually people cross the fence and just go close to the water. And like if there's a like really strong rain, like people will get like a bigger gate. Bigger gate in the park will be closed, so people don't go that much. But well, like yeah, but still, some people go inside, like, and also like enjoy kayaking in the float. That's really crazy.
They're not
So it's
afraid
really
of
extreme.
crocodile.
Sorry.
So they're not afraid of crocodile or even alligator.
Uh, yeah, not really. Well, people take the risk, and like, yeah, and like it's really different. So the from the Japanese situation, like many things, uh, like Japanese government or the city government need to take responsibility for these risks in Japan. But like in Australia, people will take risk and like take the responsibility for this. So like if you get injured, you will go to the hospital by yourself, and it's your responsibility. And like yeah.
Well, the citizen will not sue the government for it, right? because in Indonesia
Yeah.
it's also similar with Australian. If something happened in the nature and it's out of control of the authority, they will not ask government to do something for them. They will get to go into the hospital by themselves. Even they also in many cases, people lose their life eating by crocodile in some river in Indonesia because sorry, in some rural area, people like used to have their life nearby the river. So it's so interesting, right? So totally different. What about in German? In Berlin, do they have like a, wild habitats that live by the citizens or in the city?
Yeah, I'm not sure about like dangerous animals, really. Yeah, sorry, I think I need to do a little more research about it. Yeah, I'm not sure about it, but probably I think it is the same idea, like everything's on our side, like the government don't take responsibility that much. I think like if you got injured, you will go like if you people just go inside the forest by themselves and like you don't follow the road, sometimes just go inside really like wild bush. Um and if you get injured, you will just take the responsibility by yourself. So that's the idea, I think.
Yeah, it's yeah, it's I think it's very important to to think about safety more for the citizen, because the standard may be different in each country, but we can assume that the safety of the user is the most important. Okay, we are going to the limit of time, I think, Tag. So thank you very much for Yusuke, for all the sharing, and also for Utah. We have new visual experiences from different cities. Yeah, from Melbourne, Tokyo, and also to Berlin. And we also enjoyed the share from the New Orleans, from the Tavira, and also from the Yokohama. And each of cities brought beautiful memories in young landscape architects in the different countries also. And it's really nice if we can also have some input or some opinions about the open spaces that Yusuke already shared to us in the chat room. We really appreciate if you can share with us your opinions. And the last thing is, as Tak mentioned before, about the EPA. So as the Asia Pacific representative of emerging professional advocates, it is a working group under the IFLA word. So we have a working group of young professional and students of the landscape architectures or relevant disciplines that establish aiming to create a community and integrated the voice of young professionals within IFLA. And the EPA try to bring and bond together communities of students and young professionals of landscape architecture by creating a networking opportunities across the world. And our activity aim is to facilitating the interaction and the communication within the IFLA region and enable to transfer of knowledge and skill between the members. So we really welcoming you to join the working group, and you also can find more information about the EPA from the website that I will share through the chat room. And really, we're really happy to have Yuta and Yusuke as our Asia Pacific team of the EPA also. So I think this is the end of the session from me. So I will return the screen back to Tech. So thank you very much, Tech, for facilitating us.
Thank you, Reza, for the wonderful facilitation. So it was great that Kyo and I didn't have to do much. But so I'd like to recap on what Reza said. So we all, IFLA, International Federation of Landscape Architects in Asia Pacific region. So today I see people from Thailand, Indonesia, and maybe many people from Japan and maybe some in Taiwan. I don't know. I cannot see from the name, but please participate the questions on the Google format that Yusuke posting on chat line. This will be helpful to make our IFLA APR crosstalk better and much more useful for everyone. That's the first thing. And please take your time to fill in the form on the chat line, the Google form. So the last one is what Reza said. So IFLA APR, we have 5 or 6 working groups. So Kyo is representative of landscape architects without border, and Reza is really bringing at the head of EPA and bringing a younger generation of Asia Pacific region together. So if you are really inspired by Yuta and Yusuke and Reza, and if you want to be really like part of it, we don't know exactly what we'll be doing, but I think it'd be great to, don't you think it's great to get connected to younger generation in other countries and what they are struggling with and what they are doing in practices. So it might not be the formal like this way, but I'm sure that there'll be small groups discussion, and hopefully we can find a lot of good energetic professionals who really want to, tap in. So the window is open, and if you are interested, please email to this EPA email address, or we have a Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn account. So any approaches will be fine, and then you can just knock on the door and window is full open. So please join us for this EPA. And other working groups are the climate change working groups. So this is really active working groups. The header is the Claire at the IFLA, Australian Institute of Landscape Architects. Also, we have the world representative, world chair with the Kotchakan from Thailand. She's leading IFLA climate change group, and she presented a lot of excellent talk at the COP26. Some of you might have seen. So I'm asking Koch and Claire to host the next session, and they are very busy. So I'm still coordinating it, but hopefully in 2 months we can host this 4th session for the climate change. And then the other one is agriculture and food, and Misato Uehara from JLAO is a representative in Asia. They are also having a very interesting discussion about agriculture and food and landscape. So I will try to do this bi-monthly, and I think gradually it's becoming an interesting platform and talk. But this 2 hours is very short. So please contact me also if you are interested in participating PPP, which is kind of like a coordinating all the effect within APR session. So I will just add here my email address. Yeah. And so that's all for tonight. And this is recorded and we'll be posting on YouTube soon. So if you missed something in the beginning or maybe in the middle, please check our website soon. So we will edit a little bit and we post on the YouTube. So Yeah, and Nam-san from Thailand just said the coach has another lecture at the ASLA. She will join the talk next time. So, okay, thank you very much. Okay, so that's all for tonight. And it's Sunday night, so we would like to close this on time. But before closing this session, Reza would like to take the picture together. So how do you do that? Like, should we show?
Shooting? Yeah.
Yeah, photo shooting. So if maybe some of you may not feel comfortable turning on camera, but if you are okay with the turning on camera, please turn on your camera. And when people come like ready, I will just screenshot. Or maybe Kyo can screenshot. Kyo, can you do that?
Yes,
With
I can do it.
kind of like,
Screen capture.
Yeah, I can help it actually. So
okay.
I will count it.
Yeah, and 今からすいません、カメラ、集合写真を撮りたいので、もしカメラをオンにしても大丈夫な方おられましたら、カメラオンにお願いします。はい、じゃあ、キヨさん、掛け声お願いします。
Reza, are you gonna count with some EPA?
I cannot hear you, Kiyo. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe we need some pause.
Pause
for EPA.
Landscape.
Yeah, landscape. Or do you have any, Reza? Okay. This is a L landscape.
L.
Life, love. What? Okay. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Landscape. Yay. Woo. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much,
Thank you.
everyone.
皆さんありがとうございます。
ありがとうございます。
Thank you.
See you next
Thank
time.
you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
A りがとうございました。
ありがとうございます。お疲れ様でした。ありがとうござい
お疲れ
ます。
様。
ありがとうございました。
結構盛り上がりました
もうレ
ね。
ザさん帰っちゃった。
レジャー
いやー、美味しい。
でもすごいなんかよかったんじゃない？旅してるみたいな感じで。なんか2人とも写真がすごい、ね、写真すごい良かったよね、タモさんね。
はい。もう、
これが今レコーディングストップした方がいいんじゃない？
ああ、すいません。